أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The most beautiful dua by Musa alayhi salam, which says, O my Lord, open for me my chest, that is, grant me self-confidence, contentment and boldness, and ease my task for me, and make loose the knot, the defect from my tongue, that is, remove the incorrectness from my speech, so that they may understand my speech. And now, praise for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We ask Allah to bless his entire family, the most pure, the most noble of all families. And we ask Allah to bless all his companions. And we ask Allah to bless every single one of us. And to bless our offsprings, those to come up to the day of Qiyamah. And may Allah bless the entire Ummah at large. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters. We are back, and we are back this time with the second series of ours, which is that of adorning our lives with Islamic wisdom. So today there is a very, very important aspect which I thought that I would like to share with you, with respect to this very aspect which has been about the new age spirituality, which we all may be familiar about. So this is something which I wanted to share and discuss it out with you all, because a lot of times people don't understand and take this to be very casual or in a very light manner, whereas there is something which is not what Islam teaches us. So here we are going to be seeing what is not, what we should basically try to restrain ourselves from. And what is it that I'm going to be talking about? It's basically about meditation, yoga, which is in fact it's so much in trend these days, and it's like an in thing. You have international days being celebrated with regard to that, and what we need to understand is this is especially the part of this very new age doctrine which is there, and this new age movement which is there, it's basically, if we see, it's nothing but the collection of so many philosophical, spiritual and the religious beliefs and practices, which has a lot of hidden, mystic, occult, pagan teachings. And that is something which is basically those pagan teachings, it is just essentially repackaged in terms of it's basically repackaged by as this very satanic kind of idea. Now within this movement, if we will see, we will find yoga, meditation. You would have heard about Reiki, which is like spiritual healing, something which is very, very commonly heard these days. You have crystals, you have theosophy, you have so many spiritualism, a lot of things which are categorized within that, and they all share a core belief or a very common core teaching. And what is that? It appears to be very, very simple, very plain, very harmless. But if you really go into the depth of it, you will find there is such an element of shirk which is present in that. So what is it that all of these, so-called whatever, meditation, yoga, all these Reiki, crystals, what is it? What is at the core of it? It basically says that, okay, that which is mankind, that which is humankind, it has an innate goodness which is hindered, which is dormant, and through their prescribed practices of clearing the thoughts, you will be then able to reach that goodness. Now this is something which is very common in Hinduism also, in terms of the yogic or the meditative practices which are there. So what is the intent, especially the new age spirituality, where Bennett talks about that the intention is of connecting with the universe. That's what they say. Now imagine this very term, brothers and sisters, which is that of universe, connecting with the universe. Now this is not a very very harmless, very simple, very plain thing, because what is it? Universe is a creation, it's not a creator. So what they do is that through their prescribed barrier, uh, the removal techniques which are there, they say that human being can connect with their innate inner goodness. They need to connect with the universal life force energy which is there, because they are two of one. They are to be of the same thing. So that very aspect, that technique to bring us into oneness, quote unquote, that oneness which is there. Now apparently it seems very harmless, that it's all about oneness. But what are they saying? Oneness with nature, and that will result in harmony, in peace, relaxation. It will bring positivism, enlightenment. It will bring concentration, joy, clarity. So what are they saying? Basically that, we are just teaching, we teach the life force energy is what is the divine energy. It is the God. Now see here, that life force energy is divine energy, and it is God. So, and then saying, because we are same, we are also then divine. So are you seeing how dangerous that is? And their practices basically are there to help you to, they'll say, okay, this is, you are doing this meditation, you're doing this yogic practice, you're doing this Reiki, etc., whatever, to connect with your higher self. And that is how then you'll be able to achieve the blessing, the healing, the wisdom, the salvation, the moksha, even the divinity. Now that becomes again, these words, these terminologies, brothers and sisters, one has to be really careful about, because in today's time this is something which comes in a way, in a very subtle way, that apparently it would not appear at all to be that risky. So what exactly all these kinds of aspects are saying basically is, in very simple ways, what they explain is to say that we are God, astaghfirullah, because universe is God, and it's something which we don't know yet. So we need to discover it. And how do we do that? We do that through meditation, we do that through yoga, we do that through these kinds of rituals which they bring out. So all of this new age, that's nothing but pantheism. Because pantheism is something which is teaching what? That God is everything, and everything is God. So God, and what they would say is that God is the substance and energy which is found in nature, and we are made up of that energy, we are made up of that substance. So we are God too, astaghfirullah. And these kinds of new age beliefs, they are so pantheism to the core, because the underlying belief in this kind of spirituality, in this kind of teaching, which we also find in the pagan cult, in the pagan religions, is that the combined substances, forces, laws manifested within the universe, they are all divine energy. And the thing is that this divine energy, which is said that this is the universe, we are part of it, and this is divine energy. A lot of time it is also referred to within Hinduism as pran, that which they call pran or life force energy. So that's something which is then used as a synonym here. And it also says that since the substance and energy of the universe is God, then it is also wisdom, it is also consciousness. So all these kinds of terms are used interchangeably. And it's said then that since we are made up of this divine energy and substance, that is why we are divine by our very nature. And then they say, astaghfirullah, that what happens is that we are hindered from knowing and fully actualizing this divinity because of our ego. So the ego uses the thoughts and the emotion to hinder us with the illusion of the self, that self is distinct, that self is separate from God. And this thing of separation between self and God, what they say within Hinduism also you find this, within New Age spirituality also you find this. It's said that this kind of separation of us, this distinction of us, creation from creator, from God, they say this is happening because of the ego thoughts. This is happening because of those kinds of illusion. And therefore they say that these thoughts and emotions which are there of dualism, that we are distinct from God, this kind of dualism is something which gives rise to fear, because we are mistakenly thinking that we are separate. We are mistakenly thinking that creator is separate and creation is separate. And therefore, and that's why they say that we need to remove this kind of separation, and it is our ego which is leading us to this, and we have to remove our ego. So and then they say that this is something which gives thoughts, feeling, emotions which are negative, which are restrictive. Why those come? Because we have separated ourselves. We have separated ourselves from God, from creator. Astaghfirullah. So can you see how subtle this is? And that's why I keep repeating that if you do not have the anchor of Islam, anybody can so easily get swayed with these ideas, because apparently they come with this package of oneness. So this kind of negative sense of self, they would say that this negative sense of self that people have, this needs to be released, because actually individual is only non-self. That's what they say. And what is the meaning of this non-self? Which means that it is oneness with nature, because God is all is God. Astaghfirullah. So as soon as this new agers, the Hinduism philosophy, that kind of theology, it says that, so why do we do meditation? They would say we do meditation to clear the mind from all self thoughts. Any thought of self, that I am different, I am distinct, we need to remove that. And which is why you hear this word aham brahma asmi. When you hear this within Hinduism, it's so deeply instilled, because of this the way in which it is packaged. It appears to be so true then for them. So they would say that we need to clear the mind from all the self thoughts which are absorbed in self, and then and when we clear our minds from that, then we become the highest self. And what is the highest self that we reach to? That's God. Astaghfirullah. They say the highest self, once you reach that highest, not higher, highest superlative degree, that's when you become God. So it's like aligning, connecting to the universe. Universe is equal to God. And then they would suggest that that's a true transformation which takes place, and that shift in consciousness, that's enlightenment, and that's what we are aiming for. And that's what we are so advanced in our religion. New Age philosophy also talks about that. Hinduism primarily talks about that. So this a branch within Hinduism, in terms of especially the Advait philosophy, which talks about this aspect which is there. So therefore what we find is that it talks about this shift in consciousness, and they say this is a shift in consciousness because now they only think of themselves as God. And they say that we have removed all negative thoughts of self, which has got released, and now we have achieved enlightenment. We have become one with nature. We have achieved completeness, harmony, unity, peace, wisdom. We have now got complete awareness, complete consciousness, and this is what is moksha. We are this is a journey towards enlightenment, moksha, salvation, etc., etc. So astaghfirullah. So brothers and sisters, this is something that we really need to be, need to keep ourselves aware about, because the how do we know? How are we able to see that this is taking a form of shirk? Because they deny that there is any kind of separation that exists between creator and creation. They deny that universe and human is separate from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They deny a creator and a creation. They deny that, so this kind of denial which is there, it's very easy for us. And when it comes to yoga, then it's like a gateway to that, because if usually we see it is just sold as a stretching exercise because it's just there to help with relaxation, but when we really see, it makes for, it has a lot of danger to it, because it's like a gateway to the darker occult practices which is being sold in that name of self-development. And in fact, this kind of whatever they call it, stretching, which is not just like that, not just stretching exercise, it leads to very unsuspecting, very, very spiritually weak people who are then seeking their purpose on the path to find and develop themselves, which is basically the path that leads to the destruction. Because why is it that it leads to destruction? Because it's basically leading them away from knowing that who their creator is. So that's why, when what would the yoga instructor do? They would encourage you to connect your mind and body by looking inwardly, clearing your mind, releasing your thoughts, and finding your center. These are the common terms which they use. And they would say, then just find your center, look inward, as in release your thoughts, take your thoughts where? To place where your life energy emanates, because this is something to balance you. This is something which is bringing you into greater harmony with the others and with the universe. So and then it claims that it's supported by science. We are able to release anxiety, stress, depression, chronic pain, migraine, heart health, etc. This is that new age indoctrination which is there. And of course, within Hinduism, it's a very, very ancient practice which is there of yoga. But if we really see, the danger is how pervasive this has become all over the world, and it is rising constantly. If we really see a study which was conducted, it found 36.7 million people, they practice yoga. And not just that, of which 37% having children under the age of 18. And they also found that 30% of the people who don't practice yoga, even if they don't, they believe it is good. And 73% who practice, they think that, of course, yeah, it is good. So that's the kind of way in which, they bring it out in terms of so many centers of meditation, etc., which are there. But what is it promoting? It is so what would they say? Basically, they are teaching. They would say, we are just teaching concentration, focused attention. But what is it basically? Releasing the thought? They would say, okay, release your thought because you're releasing the fear and you're opening up to higher self. What about the higher self? It's all that pantheism ideas which are there. Basically, they are paraphrasing that you reach the highest self, and through the highest self, you're reaching the God. But it's so risky and it's so dangerous, because it somewhere lead to that kind of sorcery. You never know what kind of spirits you are tapping into when in name of that higher self which they talk about here. So, and first of all, most important aspect, brothers and sisters, is that distinction which they make between the creator and the creation. That saying God is everything, everything is God, that in itself is for us that that alarming bell. Then then to the extent of saying that in fact there is no God Almighty, universe is all of that. This is something which is only removing your fear, your anxiety. We are just basically purifying the body and the mind which gets contaminated. We are just basically tapping into universal life force energy. It's transforming your mind. In fact, you can become like God. Astaghfirullah. You are reaching towards that enlightenment. It will bring you peace and joy. These are the kinds of notions which are used in order to sort of invite people towards this kind of act. So basically, brothers and sisters, what we see is that the entire Western world which is there, it has become so enamored with this Eastern meditation, the New Age spirituality, the Eastern meditation, those ideas which is also present within Hinduism. And what it does is that it supposedly the practical benefits which it offers to filling a kind of vacuum of the so-called secular society. What these kinds of meditation it promises is that kind of spirituality, not the religion but spirituality, which then becomes in trend. But we must remember that there are a lot of dangers which are associated with this, because and as I had told you just very briefly some of them, because it is usually used as synonym for Zen meditation, transcendental yoga, Hindu meditation, guided meditation, Tao, Zen, all of these things which are then used to say that, oh, we are just emptying our mind. But that emptying mind, it has so much of then potential to invite the satanic afflictions, because you are removing your thoughts, minds, ideas from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told us to follow. So and whatever somebody learns about these Eastern meditations, the roots cannot be ignored, no matter it comes today in the garb of the New Age spirituality. But if you really see the roots of it, it is the roots of that gets developed in Hinduism, in Buddhism, and of course so that then takes form of this kind of New Age spirituality which is there. So emptying the mind, this is something which, brothers and sisters, we must understand. Emptying the mind to be taking to be something which is relaxing is definitely not relaxing at all, because then you are basically inviting and leading to any kind of satanic afflictions which could come then. So keep that in mind. And also, what they do is they say, oh, just focus on yourself, just focus on your breathing. But they are turning you away from focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words, for example, from the ayats of the Quran, for example, the teachings of Islam, for example. So this kind of self-focus which is there, it is basically to turn away from the focus from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from that God, from that creator. So that is the reason. And as I had told you, that this is something, the way in which it then presents itself, the kind of jargons which it uses, that saying that it is basically communion, basically like a communion with God, and we are all one with God. These are very, very risky, very dangerous aspects that we really need to beware ourselves from. So this was something which I just very briefly wanted to share with you all, so that we could adorn ourselves with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us through Quran and Hadith, and to stay away from all these kinds of so-called enlightened, meditative, yogic, spiritual, etc. ideas which are there, because these are all disguised in these kinds of very flowery and these kinds of very fascinating, in trendy words, but they definitely have shirk at the core of it, at the base of it. So keep that in mind, brothers and sisters. Just think about this, what I had shared with you today, and focus yourself to very simple for us. It's Quran, it's Sunnah, it's Hadith which is there. We don't need to sort of go here and there to any kind of other activities which may be there, because you don't know what is coming in garb of what. So I wanted to share this with you all, and inshallah in the next chapter we'll again meet and we'll again learn, things together about the beautiful deen of Islam and what to stay away from, so that we are then fully keeping ourselves cautious in this today's world, which is it's, of course we all know end times are near and there is a lot of fitna which is present. So it's very important for us to be aware of what is going on and how to prevent ourselves from that, how to stay cautious of that. So with that, then let me take leave. Inshallah we'll meet again in the next chapter with the new series which would be there to learn more together about the deen of Islam and to know what should we stay away from. Till then, take utmost care of yourself and keep the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your every action, every thought, every word. And with that, keep preparing for the akhirat, because that's our goal. And of course, keep everybody in the du'as. So with that, then I'll take leave, and inshallah we'll meet again in the next chapter and we'll learn something more together about this beautiful deen of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.